No one warns you about this. No one tells you that after years of sacrifice you can still end up alone, ignored, replaced, forgotten because you weren't good enough, but because you misunderstood how family loyalty works. You gave her everything. You worked over time, remembered that a tail supported her through every storm. You made sure she felt safe, provided for, loved, and still she left, and in the quiet that followed, a question kept ringing in your head. How could someone walk away after all I've done for them? The answer is simple, but it's the one most men never want to hear. She was never loyal to what you did. She was only ever loyal to how she felt when she was with you, not 5 years ago, not when you first met. Right now, she's not loyal. Chapter number 1. She's not loyal to your actions, only to the feeling they create. You can build the life you can buy, the house, protect her, support her, love her, and still wake up one day to find that she doesn't want to be there anymore. And when you ask her why, she won't give you a clear answer. She might say she feels confused or tired or disconnected, but deep down the reason is simpler than you think. She no longer feels what she used to feel when she's with you, and that's all it takes. You see, a woman's loyalty isn't tied to your consistency. It's not to the things you provide or how long you've been there or all the birthdays and anniversaries you remembered. It's not even to your kindness. It's to the emotion your presence creates in her body. That's it. She's not loyal to your actions. She's loyal to the experience of being around you. The emotional energy, the polarity, gravity she feels in your presence, and if that experience fades, so does her loyalty. Men struggle with this because we are ready to love with logic. We say, but I did everything right. We say, look at everything I've done for you. We expect love to be returned the way we gave it through effort, but her brain isn't calculating what you've done. Her body is responding to how she feels right now. You could have spent 10 years doing everything right for her, but if your presence today feels soft, unsure, needy, or hesitant, she'll slowly begin to pull away because her feminine doesn't feel safe there. And when a woman no longer feels emotional moves, she doesn't feel loyal, she feels trapped. Robert, a widower in his 70s, learned this the hard way after his wife passed. He met a woman 15 years younger, had thought giving her stability, comfort, and a peaceful life would be enough. He helped raise her son, he paid off her debt, he brought flowers every weekend, but over time she grew colder, less affectionate, less present, and then she left for a man who had less but felt like more. Robert sat across from me and asked, how could she walk away after Ali gave her? Because she didn't walk away from what you gave, Robert. She walked away from what she no longer felt. This isn't about being cruel, it's Abu though the feminine. Apertesh doesn't want comfort without connection, she doesn't want provision with it. Polarity, she doesn't want safety if it means feeling numb inside. What she craves, what she's loyal to, is emotional experience, and when you stop stirring that and hear your history with her starts to fade, many make the mistake of giving more when they feel her slipping more gifts, more time, more reassurance. But if you are giving from a place of fear, the fear of losing her, the fear of not being enough, then all she feels is the weakness beneath the offering, and the more you try to earn her with comfort, the less she respects you. You can't keep her with logic. You can't hold her with routine. You can't earn her devotion with effort rooted in fear. She doesn't want a man who reacts to her emotions. She wants a man who anchors them. She wants a man who looks her in the eye when she's upstand, doesn't flinch. A man who tells her no without guilt. A man who doesn't shrink to avoid disappointing her. A man whose presence creates calm even in chows. That's the feeling she's loyal to. It your calendar, not your to-do list, it your well-meaning sacrifice. And if you don't carry that energy anymore, she feel it long before she verses a word, and by the time you notice she's drifting, she's already gone. Why feelings fade faster. Chapter number 2. Why feelings fade faster today, and the rise of monkey branching. There was a time when love lingered, when people stayed, even when the spark flickered, when patience, time, and chardonnaires were enough to hold a relationship together. That time is fading. And if you're wondering why women seem to leave quicker, change faster, and move on like nothing happened, there's something you need to understand. In this new world, the feeling fades faster because the world moves faster. We live in the age of instant emotion, instant messages, instant gratification, endless options, and when feelings are the only thing she's loyal to, you can see how quickly her heart might shift. It's not that she's cruel, it's that she's conditioned don't to chase the thrill, not build the bond, to pursue emotional high after emotional high, scrolling through validation and distraction like it's oxygen. When the feeling she once had with you starts to dull, she doesn't wait and wonder if it will return. She looks elsewhere for something or someone who can't give it to her again, not because she wants to betray you, but because her emotional compass always points toward what moves her now, not what once did. And this is where the quiet but dangerous pattern begins. It's called monkey branching. She doesn't jump until there's another branch within reach. But the moment she senses a stronger emotional pull, she lets go of your hand and swings towards something that makes her feel alive again. She might say, "I just need space." Or, "It's not you, it's me." But what she's really saying is, "I can't feel it anymore, and I don't know how to stay in a space that no longer stirs me." James, a retired firefighter in his late 60s, learned this the hard way. He met her after his wife passed and she brought light back into his life. He took her on trips, bought her gifts, helped raise her grandkids. He gave her everything he could, and then she met Simeon online, a man who lived across country, who wrote poetry and sent voice notes. Every morning he didn't provide, he didn't sacrifice, he just made her feel something, and James was left wondering, how could all I gave be so easy to walk away from? It's because emotion, when untethered, doesn't follow logic, it follows the spark, the chemistry thrill, and in today's world where everything is fast, she doesn't have to wait for a new feeling. She can scroll into it, message into it, dream into it. That's why the man who builds his worth and what he gives is always at risk of being replaced by the man who knows how to make her feel, but that doesn't mean you become a performer, a mood manager, or an emotional butler. No, it means you learn to hold the one thing that keeps her grounded in you, your presence, your polarity, your emotional gravity. Because in a world that moves fast, what keeps her loyal is a man who doesn't. If this truth about today's fast-moving world resonates with you, type the number 2 in the comments to share your feeling. Itty warrior. Wisdom matters. We be honored I feud. Subscribe to our channel to join this community of reflection and growth. The more you do, the less she feel. Chapter number 3. The more you do, the less she feel. At first you thought being there more will bring her closer, so you offer and more time, more support, more patience. You adjusted your plans, softened your voice, held back your truth, not because you were weak, but because you were afraid of losing her. But the harder you tried, the more distant she became. She stopped leaning and stopped lighting up, stopped reaching for you, and slowly you found yourself in the strange position of loving someone who didn't seem to feel anything anymore. It's a position many men find themselves in, believing that giving more means receiving more in return, that if you just work harder, sacrifice deeper, she recognizes your value and stay. But she doesn't know when what you're giving comes from fear. A woman doesn't disconnect because you aren't nice enough. She pulls away when she no longer feels anything real coming from you. When your energy shifts from grounded and clear to uncertain, overly accommodating, and unreactive, she starts to feel emotionally uneven. When you're sitting right there beside her, you begin molding yourself around her mood, anticipating her discomfortry to preempt every sigh, every silence. What started as love turns into a performance, it because you meant to act, but Bakao say thought keeping the peace would keep her love alive, but it doesn't. What it keeps alive is tension, unspoken, settle, and slowly suffocate. Fast she can feel the difference between strength and submission senses. When your kindness is rooted in fear instead of power, and she stops trusting it, not consciously, but viscerally. She needs to feel your depth, not your desperation. She craves presence, not appeasement. What moves her isn't your compliance, it's your clarity. Thomas, 63, was admired by everyone. A steady man, a helpful man. He made sure his wife had everything she needed, from meals on the table to problems solved before she even spoke them out loud. He prided himself on being her peace, but over time, she lost her passion and her warmth, and finally her presence. The day she left, she told him, "I know you love me, but I can't feel anything anymore." And that was the truth. He had done everything except give her what she actually needed, his grounded self, and trying to become her solution. He had erased his own center. Here's what most men don't see until it's too late. She doesn't want a man who abandons himself to keep her happy. She wants someone who remains true even when her emotions rise, someone who isn't afraid to disappoint her if it means staying honest. When you give from a place of wholeness, she feels drawn in. When you give because you're trying not to lose her, she feels that pressure behind every gesture. It's not the action, it's the energy beneath it. You think you're loving her better, she feels you slipping away, not because your love isn't real, but because your presence has lost its weight. So don't measure your love by how much you do measure it by how solid you remain. Not every storm needs soothing. Sometimes what she needs most is to feel you holding your ground in the middle of it, because that's what opens her. No for it, not favors, but the calm, steady flame of a man who refuses to disappear. Van, when loving her feels hard, why her words can't be trusted like your. Chapter number 4. Why her words can't be trusted like yours told you she'd never leave. She said you were the one. She meant it to at that time, but now, months or years Later you're standing in the ruins of that premise, wondering what went wrong. You play her words in your head, hoping to find a clue. You keep thinking, but she said, and that's exactly where the pain starts, because what she said was really in the moment. She said, you see, a woman's words reflect her emotions. Another comment meant what she says is often a mirror of what she feels right now, not a contract for tomorrow. And when her feelings shift, so do her truths. Men are trained to take words literally. We're taught that if someone gives their word, it stands, but feminine doesn't live in logic. It lies in feeling, and feelings move, they rise and fall. Like the tide, they change with the season, the day, even the hour. So when she says, I'll never stop loving you, what she really means is, in this moment, my heart is yours. And when that might fade, she doesn't always understand why. She just knows she no longer feels it, and the promise she once made now feels like a lie she stuck inside to you. That sounds like betrayal to her. It feels like suffocation, you might say. But how can you just walk away from everything we built? But she's not looking at the history. She's listening to her body, and her body is saying, this no longer feels like home. So she goes, not because she's evil, not because she planned it, but because her internal compass is no longer pointing to you. The mistake men make is holding into her word instead of noticing her energy. When she starts withdrawing, going quiet, losing interest, you remind her of everything she once said, but she doesn't hear you because those words don't belong to her anymore. They belong to who she was when she felt safe, excited, open. In that woman might still exist, but not in the same way, not with you, not if she can't feel the current she used to ride when you walked into the room. So what do you do with that? You stop chasing her words, you stop quoting her promises, you stop trying to hold her to feeling she no longer lives in sedient. You start seeing clearly, you start accepting what her silence is saying. You listen to what her distance reveals best. The truth is her loyalty was never to the language, it was always tough feeling, and once that feeling is gone, so is the meaning behind everything she once vowed. The feminine doesn't lie, it just moves, and if you expect her to think like you do, to treat her words as phonological fixed, you're going to keep getting blindsided. So don't hold her to what she said when her heart was open. Hold yourself to the truth of what you feel when it starts to close. That's how you stop breaking. That's how you stay strong when her promises disappear. Not by making her explain, but by being the kind of man who doesn't need her to. Have you ever felt weight of broken promises? Comment word truth or the number 4 below. Share your experience. Your story is powerful, and we'd love for you to subscribe to our channel to stay connected with others who understand. She doesn't want your service. Chapter number 5. She doesn't want your service. She craves your presence. Eat first. It all seemed to matter. Your kindness, your consistency, the thoughtful service buzz there for her, anticipating needs, solving problems before they appeared. Every part of you was reaching toward love, but something in her began to step away. Less laughter, fewer touches, a quiet that settled between the two of you. Even while sharing the same space, the question builds. What's missing? It's not devotion that's there, nor is it effort. You've given plenty, the meals, the calls, the calm tone in every argument, but underneath all of it, the core she longed for, your grounded presence, has slowly faded. What draws her in is never what you do, it's how you are still rooted, undistracted, undiminished. When everything becomes an offering and nothing is anchored in truth, that polarity begins to dissolve. Warmth turns into habit, respect slips into routine. For many men, giving becomes a survival instinct. Compromise masquerades as connection. What begins as care quietly turns into self eraser. Not every needs will be met, not every request deserves a yes, not every silence needs to be filled with comfort. In her nature, there's a desire to feel the weight of something solid, to sense emotional depth that doesn't waver when the wind shifts. Not for control, but for contrast. Not to test your patience, but to touch your essence. Thomas Long, retired, said he never argued once in 11 years. Said he gave her everything she wanted, but when she left, she said one sentence that stayed with him. I never felt you. That line cut deeper than all her praise ever reached, because it was true, and doing everything right he had disappeared. She didn't fall out of love with the support, she just stopped feeling anything behind it. What awakens her is not obedience, it's edge, that rare quiet strength that says, I see you, but I won't shrink to keep you. Genuine presence doesn't chase, please, or convince. It doesn't depend on her mood to remain whole. It stands, and in that stillness, something inside her softens. Not all storms need shelter. Sometimes they need to feel the mountain is stealthier beneath them. So before offering more, return to yourself. Hold your Luna, speak truth with warmth, not hesitation. Let her come close, because your energy pulls her, and not because your service convinces her to stay. That's the difference between being useful and being unforgettable. Final reflection, some lessons Arrive quietly, not through arguments, but absence-net. With a goodbye, but with the way her presence fades before the door ever closes. Perhaps you spent years giving steadily, generously without asking for much in return, and now standing alone with those memories, it feels like all of it should have meant more. But maybe the chapter was never about what was taken from you. Maybe it was about what you gave away without realizing your edge, your calm, your ability to hold your own ground. She was drawn not just to kindness, but to something deeper, the calm gravity of a man who doesn't need applause to know his worth. What moved her was never the gifts or gestures, but the energy that stood still when everything else around her wavered. Further you drifted from that center. More something between you began to hollow, not because your love failed, but because it lost its way. And now you were here searching for clarity, not to change the past, but to understand what he was really trying to teach you. This wasn't about becoming better at servicite. It was about remembering what it means to be anchored in yourself, to speak plainly, to breathe deeply, to stay still and tested. A man who lives from that space doesn't chase, he invites. He doesn't perform, he embodies it. What he offers is not comfort, but certainty. So if there's one truth to hold on to, it's this: you were never made to prove your worth, to be loved. You were meant to stand in it. So clearly that love has no choice but to recognize you'd start there, come back to that still place within you, the part that never needed to earn our attention because it already carried its own quiet power. Let that be what defines you now, not that pain, not the memory, but the return to man you were before you made yourself smaller to keep someone closer. That version of you is still here waiting, ready. If something in this video resonated with you, take a moment and share your thoughts in the comments. You never know, your story might be the mirror another man needs right now. And if you found this message valuable, please like, subscribe, and pass it on to someone who may be walking through some silence. You're not alone, and your strength is still here, quiet, steady, waiting to be felt again.